So again, I was just talking about the racism that these news anchors are displaying straight up. You know, mask off. Just war is bad in Europe when it's happening to white people. We should let the whites in. They're the only good refugees. You know, black people, Africans, people of color. No, sorry. You have to wait in the war zone that everyone is fleeing because they got to let the white people through first. Here's another piece of racism. Here's another absolutely shocking thing. I mean, this is the Ukrainian National Guard, the official Twitter account. It's verified. And look what they posted on Twitter. This is a video of someone putting bullets into a magazine, right? Into a rifle magazine. And look what the caption says. Azov fighters of the National Guard greased the bullets with lard against the Kadyrov orcs. So do you know what they're saying here? Let me break this down for you. Because, I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw this. So Kadyrov, he's the head of the Chechen Republic. And as you know, there are lots of Muslims in Chechnya, right? And they're basically saying here that they're putting pig fat, because you know Muslims don't eat pork. They're putting pig fat on the bullets to shoot Muslims with. And they're calling them orcs. And this is the fucking official Twitter account of the Ukrainian National Guard. I mean, Jesus Christ, you could not make this up. Oh, look, they've taken it down since I posted it. I mean, this is straight up xenophobia, straight up racism, straight up prejudice. I mean, it's literally like, you know, this is violence. They're saying we're gonna shoot Muslims with pork greased bullets. They have no shame just posting it on Twitter and also in English for like the whole world to see. You know, you keep hearing people saying that it's not true. There are no neo-Nazis in Ukraine. And Putin, he's going into Ukraine for his personal greed. When he says denazify Ukraine, there are no racists in Ukraine. There are no neo-Nazis. Oh, really? Well, how do you explain this shit? Are you seriously going to sit there and tell me that this is okay and this is a fake? That this didn't happen? That they didn't post that? Are you seriously going to tell me that? And they said Azov fighters. This is what the Azov Battalion is. I've talked about this before with you. This is the Azov. They're neo-Nazis in Ukraine. This is who they are. You see that? You see the symbol that they have up there on the flag? This is a Wolf's angle. It's an insignia that goes back before the Nazis, but the Nazis used it in World War II, specifically a Waffen-SS Panzer Division, which committed a massacre in France, the infamous massacre at Oradour. And it is a straight-up Nazi symbol, and these people are neo-Nazis. And I showed you last week how Al Jazeera was talking to these far-right, these Nazi fighters in Ukraine, and the cameraman is asking them, well, what's your ideology? Tell us what you believe in. And then he's like, can you pause the camera? Like, he cut off the interview, because they know. They're trying to paint these Ukrainians as 100%, you know, clean, and they're just trying to fight the Russian aggression. And you saw they were training a grandmother to shoot. The guy who was training her had this symbol on his arm, the insignia. He had a patch of it on his arm because he's a neo-Nazi. This group, they glorify Stepan Bandera, who is, again, you know, scum of the earth, the lowest of the low, a collaborator, a Nazi collaborator from Ukraine who helped kill Poles in World War II. He participated in the Ukrainian Holocaust, and they glorify him. They got marching in the street with banners. I mean, here, look at this. So they want to come here and tell us there's no neo-Nazi problem in Ukraine. There's no racist problem. Wow. Really? What's this then? You want to explain this to me? Why they're glorifying this neo-Nazi collaborator going on marches like that? You want to tell me why they have neo-Nazi, they have just straight up Nazi insignia on their flags and their uniforms? And then on Twitter, they're saying, this is the same battalion, Azov. They're saying they want to kill Muslims with pork-greased bullets. I mean, who do you think you're kidding? Who do you think you're kidding? Honestly. They take us for fools. If you wanted to come and say there's no neo-Nazi issue in Ukraine, well, you just shot yourself in the foot because you just showed your true colors. You just showed your true colors. Like, straight up shameless. They're not even trying to hide it. Not even trying to hide it. Not even trying to hide it. I'm speechless. You know, it's just one thing after the other, one thing after the other. And this is, of course, who the CIA funds. There is a very clear amendment that was passed by 2 congressmen in 2015 to block money from the US government going to this Azov Battalion. And the Pentagon intervened to get rid of the amendment and essentially let the money go to the Nazis. So again, the Pentagon intervened to make sure that these Nazis in Ukraine got that CIA money. So this is what we're left with. We have a situation where the mainstream media is trying to whitewash and cover up who exactly is fighting in Ukraine. And keep in mind, this is the Ukrainian National Guard. This battalion is not some bunch of white people in a forest running around with flags. They're incorporated, they're integrated into the official Ukrainian National Guard. This is serious. This is part of the government. Okay? And then they come and tell you Zelensky, the president, is Jewish. Yeah, okay, but what did I just show you? Is this not real? Did I just make all of this up? That doesn't change what's happening here. I'm not saying he's a Nazi, but you have Nazis in the Ukrainian National Guard. That's a fact. It's a fact. And the fact that the US is funding these people and sending weapons, the UK is sending weapons, Germany and the EU want to send weapons now. They know it's going to end up in their hands. The weapons don't, they're not segregated or divided between non-Nazi and Nazi elements of the Ukrainian forces. They go to everyone. And you see, once again, this is a repetition of what you had in Syria. Do you remember how they kept saying, we got to support the moderate rebels? You know, these guys are good. They're not as cuckoo or extremists as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These guys are good. They're moderate rebels. And they tried whitewashing their image, trying to portray them as heroes and freedom fighters. And then it turns out half of them are working with Al-Qaeda. And then they're merging groups, right? The Free Syrian Army, which they told you about, is Al-Qaeda. There are no moderate rebels. There are no moderate rebels. It's all gone. It's only Al-Qaeda that's left. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, Jabhat al-Nusra, call it whatever you like. You can keep changing the name and rebranding as much as you like. Same shit. Same shit. And that's what they tried selling you. They tried telling you Bashar al-Assad and Russia, they're so evil. They're just killing people who want a revolution. These are Syrians. No, they ain't Syrians. These are foreign fighters. They are extremists, and you are paying their salaries. And you are sending them weapons. They couped Gaddafi, and they took his weapon cache and then sent the weapons over to Syria, to those jihadists, to those extremists. And they whitewashed it. And to this day, to this minute, they're trying to convince you it's a civil war. And they're trying to convince you that these moderate rebels are moderate rebels. They're not. They're terrorists, extremists, and you back them. And you're doing the same thing again here. In Ukraine, they're doing it again. They're backing neo-Nazis. And in the Cold War, what happened? The CIA got in bed with the Mujahideen, Bin Laden, al-Zawahiri. These are the guys who went on to found Islamic Jihad in Egypt, and then Al-Qaeda, and then they merged them. And, you know, this is the Al-Qaeda leadership. And where were they getting their money from? Who was backing them? The CIA. So you see, once again, I could give you the example of Latin America, right-wing guerrillas, the United States overthrowing democratically elected governments and replacing them with a right-wing puppet and financing and training right-wing guerrillas in torture and you name it in order to implement those objectives. So the CIA has a long, long record of getting in bed with some of the most villainous types, right? Some of the shadiest characters that you can come up with. Whether it's Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan, or Al-Qaeda in Syria and Iraq, or these neo-Nazis in Ukraine. This is their MO. This is their modus operandi. This is who they are. Don't be surprised by it. Look at all the propaganda they fed you about Syria. All of it was lies. It was all lies. And now they're doing it again. And they're trying to make you focus, oh, Putin bad, Putin bad. Man, fuck Putin. Look at what the West is doing here. Put that into context. You can't take that out of context and forget about it and act like this is happening in a vacuum. You're just going to forget for the last 8 years that these people have been getting money from the West and then they've been ethnically cleansing Russian speakers. Again, you can go and criticize Russia all you like. Be my guest. But don't deny what is a documented fact. The United Nations, I was talking about the report just the other day, documented that between 2018 and 2021, so in the last 3 years, 80% of the people killed in the Donbass region were in separatist-held areas. Okay? So don't come here and tell me there's no racism problem or neo-Nazi problem in Ukraine, when black people and people of color are being prevented from fleeing a war zone. And then you got neo-Nazis flashing a Wolfsangel, arm patches, flags, doing, celebrating neo-Nazi Nazi collaborators like Stepan Bandera, and they're back on mainstream media just last week. Oh, look, they're training a friendly granny. Look at this friendly grandmother getting ready to shoot the evil Ruskies. Isn't she adorable? It's like a fucking neo-Nazi right there with her. No mention. And now this on Twitter. I mean, this is really just the final nail in the coffin. If you had any doubt, again, the official Ukrainian National Guard, the official Twitter account, saying that this neo-Nazi battalion which is in the National Guard, is greasing its bullets with pig fat, with lard, and getting ready to kill Muslims, which they call orcs. Wow. This is extremely, extremely provocative. It is very, very clear what they're saying. It is extremely xenophobic and Islamophobic, and it's just vile. It's vile. And never forget, these are the people, these neo-Nazis are the people that are backed by the CIA and backed by the West. Don't get it twisted. When they tell you we're going to support Ukraine against the Russians, remember who they're getting in bed with. Remember who they got in bed with in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Latin America. Always remember that. They're doing it again now, and they're taking you for fools. Don't fall for the trick. Don't fall for it. This is the reality. This is what's happening.